Faith in God is not exactly a crystal ball, but it does allow us to look far into the future and see the great rewards that God has for those who believe and trust in Him. Good morning. This is Pastor Ernie Lewis of the Blue Point Church in Sisney, Illinois, with your thoughts for Tuesday. Among those listed in the Hall of Fame of Faith, we find Moses. He is truly a man of great faith who did great wonders for God in his service and in his obedience. But his faith did not just come naturally. He was prepared to believe in God by godly parents who refused to follow the world's course as others did around them. It says in Hebrews 11 and verse 23, by faith Moses, when he was born, was hidden 3 months by his parents because they saw he was a beautiful child, and they were not afraid of the king's command. By faith, Moses, when he became of age, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of God than to enjoy the pleasures of sin, esteeming the reproach of Christ greater riches than the treasures in Egypt, for he looked to the reward. When we read about his faith, this verse says, by faith, Moses, when he was born, was hidden 3 months by his parents. Moses' parents, they were named Amram and Jochebed. As a matter of fact, they're not even named until you get over to Exodus chapter 6, and it begins talking about those people who were a list of Israelites left in Egypt after Joseph had passed from the scene. But they were vital in God's plan. First of all, they did not allow Pharaoh to kill their son, Moses, because the Egyptians feared the Israelites, the Hebrews. They were demanding that all the male children be killed whenever they were born. But of course, the midwives refused to do so, and many of them hid their children, much like Amram and Jochebed had done for Moses. Moses' parents had great faith in God, and they had no fear of the king's command. So after learning at their feet, that's why Moses later refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, although she had rescued him from the river and had saved him, was raising him as her child. The verses say his choice was to suffer affliction with the people of God rather than to enjoy the passing pleasures of sin. This is a huge step of faith because so many today choose the pleasures of sin that last only for a short time in this life and rather than an eternity with God. He esteemed the reproach of Christ for his greater riches rather than the treasures in Egypt. So many today would have chosen the treasures of Egypt because they were vast, especially for Moses being raised there in the palace. But the Bible says he looked to the reward that God offered his followers. Now, the interesting thing to me is that heaven is not really mentioned that much in the Old Testament. But he still chose whatever God would give his people than taking the world's treasures. We have those same choices today. And I hope we can see far enough into the future through faith to be able to trust in God and to follow him for that eternal reward that he offers to us. I also hope we're like Amram and Jochebed, that as parents we are reproducing that kind of faith in our children, to carry them past this world's offerings, to choose the greater riches that God offers those who will follow him, not only in this life, but in the life to come.